You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author, professional speaker, and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. Oh, yeah, we're back at you again on the magical podcast that connects you with fabulous authors around the globe. It's the Going North podcast, baby. It's the Going North podcast. And in the words of one of my favorite video game characters, Big Smoke, it's time to return the favor, baby, because we got another host-to-host special, baby. That's right. Another host-to-host special. We got a fellow bookcaster in the house because not only this wonderful lady had me on her show, she also is a multiple author as well, and she has this awesome new book out called Podcast Power, the double P right there, folks. The quick start guide to launching and leveling up your brand. And this wonderful lady right here, she is so fabulous. Not only is she chocolate, she's also a fellow Christian as well, who has a strong podcast, The Entrepreneurial You, that interviews fabulous folks from around the globe to help folks launch their businesses and to be the best versions of themselves, as well as boosting up the powerful image of the island of Jamaica. So let's welcome up the one, the only HWP yourself, Miss Heneka Watkis-Porter. How are you today, ma'am?
Hey, Dom. I am really doing great. In our pre-interview chat, we talked about my recovering from LA, just coming out of 2 conferences where I spoke and then getting back into life again. But in all of that, I'm doing great and I give thanks.
Oh, yeah, amen to that. That's what I'm talking about. Who needs to wait for November? Give thanks now.
Absolutely. Every day is a Thanksgiving day.
That's right. You have to talk turkey on Thanksgiving. You talk turkey every day. And I don't even know what the heck that means. Let me stop. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So how's it feel? This ain't your first time in a business of immortality. Now you got this new book out, Podcast Power. Yes,
How
right.
does it feel? Oh my gosh. It felt really good putting this out. And if I tell you, I knew I was going to be speaking at this event in San Jose in California. And I decided, I need to have this book. As a matter of fact, I'm speaking at several events this year. And it was like an impetus for me to get the book out. I knew that I wanted it out, but, the conferences that those opportunities that came about, it was just an opportunity for me to, get motivated to finish it even faster. And so, yeah, it's been a journey and it is out and getting some good reviews so far. And I just like the finished product and I trust that, the readers will love it. And yes, I have been feeling them as well. I've been feeling the love. So I am grateful.
Oh, yeah. Not only feeling the love, but giving the love as well. Because you dedicate a lot of your time to helping others through the podcast. I'm pretty sure with your business as well beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. So just going back in time, who is the fabulous Heneka? Because you didn't always get to where you are today. There's always a process before the final product.
Oh, absolutely. So the journey of this thing called life for me has been, one with ups and downs. But when I look back, though, it's one that I would never trade for anything, because through it all, I believe that I am the strongest person I know, having been through several different, ills in life, all the lack of self-esteem, the lack of confidence, the rejection, the abuse, all of those things. But I don't really like to paint a picture of it all being bad, because through it all, I have learned to be the person I am today. All things work together for good for those that love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. So I couldn't have seen it then, but I now see it now. That looking back, you look back and you connect all the dots, like Steve Jobs says, and you recognize that everything for everything there was, there was a purpose. And now I see myself inspiring the world through my books, through my podcasts, through leadership events, through coaching. And just recently I just launched, well, it hasn't been officially launched yet, but a ministry that's called Grace to Grow, that is going to be targeted at women who have been, just need a second chance. And so that's what I'm up to now. So all things work together for good, and I love where I'm at right now, inspiring the world. And my podcast is reaching over 114 countries the last time I checked. So yeah, pretty good.
Woohoo! There we go. That's what I'm talking
Woohoo.
about. That's right. The G to G, grace to grow. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, G to G is exactly what my volunteers have decided, because we're just in the brainstorming mode, and they've actually, the G to G, that's what they call it. Like, yeah, this is your thing, whatever.
That's right. Throw it on a t-shirt, right? Easier to make.
Hmm.
Oh, yes, indeed. That grace to grow, indeed. That's right. So gathering trees from all over the world and helping them overcome, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, particularly right now, we're going to be starting the focus, or keeping the focus in the area that I live, in Jamaica, which is the St. Catherine area, and more so, particularly where we call Portmore. But we won't reject anybody else from wherever else if they need the help. Let's put it that way. And so, yeah, it's just one of the things I'm looking forward to. And the truth is, like I said, it's just in the conceptualization stage. It hasn't been launched yet or anything, but we know it's going to be launched pretty soon with the help that we're getting. We need more help, of course. We need help, but that's for another time, another discussion, another time.
Oh, yes, I got you, indeed. I got you, indeed. That's right. So the teddy bears are coming soon. The teddy bears are coming soon.
We look forward to them in teddy bears and cash, because we need cash to care, as they say, so we can get that mission off the ground.
Oh, yes, indeed. So, what inspires you? Because you've started all these businesses and more businesses to come. So, what keeps you inspired and so creative?
And that's a good question. First of all, I think no. Initially, I think it was my circumstance. Like, I was just driven to be out of it. But more so now, when I look back and reflect, I know that it is because of my center. I'm anchored in Christ, and I do everything that I do. I try to allow him to be the center of it. I mean, I don't always listen, yeah, but for the most part, he's the center of my life. And that's a foundation for me, because I know that I can get off balance pretty easily. And so I need to be anchored, be centered, to have that balance and to make the right choices, to make the right decisions. So I'm inspired by my faith, really, my relationship with God, but I'm also inspired by, I guess, my circumstances, and inspired to make this world a better place. I think there's just so much hopelessness in this world, and if I can be a beacon of hope, then I have to take on that challenge. I have to take that opportunity that's afforded me. To whom much is given, much is expected, and I always believe in paying it forward. I could have done one of two things. I could have allowed my circumstance to hold me back and to use it as an excuse not to do anything, or I could do what I'm doing now, which is simply to use my lemons to make lemonade, and make it a refreshing glass of lemonade, and spread that joy of refreshment and peace, and all of that.
Joy, refreshment, and peace. Oh, man. A classic right there. With the whole lemonade reference before. Masterful. That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Wordsmithing goodness. Wordsmithing goodness. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, it's always great to get Christ centered entrepreneurs in the place of the podcasting house. Podcasting house. So, speaking of podcasting house, what do you think is the main reason why do you think folks are starting podcasts nowadays?
Well, I can tell you the main reason that I started, and I know that the same challenge that I had is a challenge that many persons have, and so podcasting is just an amazing way to get your message out, right? So many of us have so many things to say. We have a voice, we have a message that the world needs to hear, and it's for that reason why people are starting podcasts. People are starting podcasts to get that message out, whether it's a message about their brand, a message about, the things that they believe in, the things that they care about, whether it's a social cause, whether it's sports, whatever it is, they're using podcasts. Podcasts, are now being used as a tool to one, get your message out and connect with people, connect with the world, not just people within um your immediate surrounding, but connect with the entire globe. Imagine that you have, I mean, I'm in Jamaica and I'm connecting with people from over 114 countries. I mean, the last time I checked, I keep saying that number, but the last time I checked, it was that. So I'm saying it's over that now, right? So it's a point of connection, but it's also a major tool to grow your brand, and that is what podcast power is about. Um, because I talk about how to start, I talk about how you find guests, how you make money, how you conduct interviews, all of those technical stuff. But I also in the book dedicate a section to how you can use it to grow your brand and have a presence. So, for example, one of the things that I've been using the podcast to do a lot is just to get a press pass, for example. So I go to events, major conferences, events, and I'm able to access that event free of charge while I'm able to use a podcast and as leverage and maybe put out a blog post after the event or do social media live tweeting, whatever it is. So using it as a press pass, using it to connect with people to form partnerships and host events, right? I host Leadercast in Jamaica now, and the podcast was a door that through which that opportunity came, right? Because when I reached out to the organizers and I positioned the podcast as one that is doing this and all that I'm doing, it was a yes for that partnership. So and for those who don't know about Leadercast is the largest one-day leadership event globally, happening in Atlanta, Georgia, but it also streamed around the world to another 100,000 people outside of Atlanta. It's streamed a lot in the US and Canada and in Jamaica, South Africa. Over 100,000 people tune in, and so for since 2018 I have been streaming for Jamaica 2 events per year. So on May 7 is my fifth event that I will be hosting. And so, these are just some of the ways that I've been using the podcast to level up. Another in very important way for me is to use it as leverage to get speaking opportunities. Like this year alone, in the period of February to March, I'm speaking at 3 events in the US, right? So it's just such an amazing platform. And I know there are just several other ways in which people are using a podcast. And these are just some of the ways that I'm using it. And I want to share that in the book, how you can use it to level up your brand and launch and just go out there and let your name be seen and your voice be heard.
Woohoo! Yes, indeed. Congrats on the fifth leader cast coming up this May. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dom.
That's right. Virtual high five for you. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, indeed. With the extra weed, call that a high five. That's what I'm talking about. Let me stop. But yes, indeed, you're definitely right about the power of podcasts. It's like, especially now where even though a lot of folks are trying to start their own podcast and get a piece of the podcast pie for themselves, it's still a very new thing. It's almost kind of like YouTube in its early stages where we're just cat videos, except now it's like, all right, you can actually connect with like folks you never would really connect with on the regular outside of maybe social media in its early infancy stages, but you just actually get a chance to actually build even deeper connections with those people because of
Oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when we think about that, like the connection, I'm just looking at the domino effect with, when I interviewed from Mastermind, what's his name? View from the Top, Aaron. I interviewed Aaron, and Aaron connected me to Paul, who then connected me to you and some others, and you connected me to others. So, looking at that domino effect and the power of connection, right? We're living in the best of times right now. We are living in the age where technology is at our fingertips, literally, and it's what we do with it. Because some people say it's from the devil, and it and it can be from the devil, but it's just a matter of how you use it. You can use it for good, and we are using it for good and connecting one another, connecting to each other, and impacting listeners, impacting our audience, bringing information, knowledge, and so on. So it's an amazing platform, right? It's all about how we use it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Says of the devil. Classic. Reminds me of a kid when in Christian schools, like, yeah, don't do that stuff, the devil. Like, all right. It's like now it's like with the power of free thinkers, like, nope, using this for good. Forget you. Sorry. Got to spread the chocolate everywhere. Like, you can't stop this good progress right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine if Jesus had a podcast.
Oh my God, what would Jesus say on this podcast? That's that would be a nice play, actually. If Jesus had a podcast. Hmm.
Oh, yeah, I think we discovered something.
Yeah. Maybe you should have a podcast by that. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe you could do that. Write some good stories, and um that's an idea for somebody to grab. It's okay. We won't charge.
Yeah, she won't. I will. I'm going to be like, hey, if you have this podcast called Sermon on the Pod, I'm going to find you.
Sermon on the pod, right? Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah. If Jesus had a podcast, I am not over that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Gotta make sure Judas ain't around, though.
Ah.
Freaking would
Well,
crash his lips in hosting site.
yeah. He would take himself out anyway.
Yep, that's true too. It's like, yeah, here's the Judas podcast. The first episode.
After that, there is none.
Exactly.
All right, I'm sure. I'm really hoping that your audience know exactly what we're talking about, because we've just gone a totally different tangent right now.
Oh, don't worry, this ain't the worst tangent ever. The worst tangent ever is probably the tree joke. Oh gosh. But yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, since your podcast has been at this for a while and you're no amateur, what's probably the best advice for new podcasters? It could be just about on anything.
All right, so, and I'm going to use a client of mine as an example. Like, she did my course, I think, in 2018. And that's when I had a workshop, and she hasn't done it for, it's been a while since she did it, and she wanted to launch, and she has not launched until, I think it was last week. And the reason for that is she kept allowing fear to hold her back, and there's no reason to be fearful, right? I mean, I won't trivialize the fact that people face fear. Let me take that back. She has her reasons to be fearful, but they were not. We know when we think we have a reason to be fearful. It's not really a legitimate reason. It's just our minds, our brain trying to protect us from whatever we think we're at risk from. So my advice to anyone who wants to start a podcast is to set a date, because a goal without a date is just a wish, right? Just wishful thinking. Set a date and do everything, do all the various steps that based on your research, or if you do coaching or whatever, follow those steps and stick to it. Stop procrastinating, because you'll allow yourself to talk yourself out of the things that you must do. and the things that are right for you, because you're entering into an unknown territory, you're entering into an area that you've never been in before. And of course it's scary. For me, I can tell you that when I just started, part of the scariest thing in my mind was the technology. And once I started, I kind of look at myself and give myself the side eye and like, what were you afraid of, right? Why didn't you want to start? Like, I was doing everything as well, everything leading up to the podcast, to launch the podcast. When it came on to the hitting the record button, I just, fear that I'm not going to be able to open my mouth and I'm going to have a brain freeze and all these things. And these things just never happened, right? So, my advice to anyone who wants to start is decide on when you want to launch and do everything that is required leading up to it and stick to that deadline as much as you can. Life happens at times, we know that, but in as much as you can stick to your deadline, stick to it, and tell yourself that you're enough and you're greater than your fears. You're better than your fears. Your fears are just there to try and protect you, but there ain't nothing to protect you from. That's it.
That's right. The only thing we had to fear is the great pumpkin. That's right.
Okay then, if you say so.
Well, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But yep, definitely right about that. Is to set a deadline and make sure you tell others about the deadline so that way they can make you feel stupid or better yet, remind you of the deadline. Because that happened with me. My podcast, funny enough, was supposed to start on a certain date and then it got delayed because of
Hmm.
technology issues. So, yep, definitely have a date and a deadline in place so that way that even though if you don't hit it, you can still get close to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Not to mention staying consistent too, because I'm pretty sure you know of the pod fade out there.
Yeah, and and there are times when like, I feel like I'd want to take a break. I mean, and perhaps I should at times take a break. But I also know that unless, I come up with a strategy and based on what my listener is saying that, let's take a break and go back to the old episodes. I made a commitment. And for me, that is so critical to honor my word. And so it's important for me to batch and make sure that I have, 3 episodes, or as little as 3 episodes, as sometimes as much as 15 episodes. Believe me, I go. And, just that I don't have to stop whenever I have to travel or something comes up, because it's real. Life happens, and these things will happen. But having a schedule and batching and being persistent and consistent and committed, because if you decide you're going to do a weekly podcast, it is easy for you to feel burnt out, and it's easy for you to feel like, I just this week I need to take a break. But then just imagine you're watching your favorite show every that comes on every week, and you go in next week to watch, and there's no show. And I mean, there are times when you have to reschedule, right? The stations will have to reschedule because they're doing some special assignment or something. But on a normal circumstance, when you tune in to watch your favorite show, it is there on point every week at the same time. And so too, you want to develop that level of consistency, and you want people to take podcasting seriously, because one of the reasons perhaps um some persons don't necessarily take it seriously is because they will tune into a show and they get so attached and loving their, to hear their hosts come over and share, and the next thing you know, they're no longer doing it weekly or as they said they would, and stuff. So those things can be a turn off. So it's very important that you factor in your schedule, everything that you have to do, and make sure that you're committed to the cause. Find contingency plans. If you have to get an intern to help you, get an intern to help you.
But yeah, definitely though, definitely right. Always is the classic military term of plans fail at first contact.
Plans fail at first contact.
Oh
Mm,
yeah, that's right. Yes, indeed. So
okay.
I have a backup plan for the original plan.
Also, always, it's very important.
And of course, the preferred version, Mike Tyson version, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Because life will come at you, it will find you, and it will try to steal you. That's when you dodge, you get out the way, you be like, steal away, Jesus. That's right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, out of all the guests so far, there's probably been so many that have left you with some inspirational goods. Is there a particular interview that really stood out to you besides the Seth Godins and the Richard Bransons?
Ah, I do value all my guests, and all my guests have come with some really good nuggets. I remember having a conversation on a special episode with Kirk Anthony Hamilton. He's a Jamaican, and we talked about that. The secret to successful partnerships. See, that was actually the episode that Richard Branson was on, because it was like an episode where I had about 5 or 6 persons on, and Kirk Anthony shared about how he, networking, and how we've now seen it as, rather than a transactional term, need to see it as something of a partnership and relationship, as opposed to people going to networking events and there's a transaction, so they sign up to they connect with you on LinkedIn, and immediately it becomes a transaction, and stuff like that. It's no longer about relationship building, and that's what it ought to be about. And so I remember when he said that, and using the term transactional versus relationship, that for me stood out definitely. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's so true. It's like it, and it's needed now more than ever than before because a lot of folks, I'm pretty sure you've seen as like promotions everywhere. Everybody's selling
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and then sometimes like, hey, let me go to the show, and then funny enough, someone called folks like these the surface dwellers, where you where you first get when they first ask for something,
Mm-hmm.
and before they come back for something else, you never see them in between.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, just avoiding those people. So that's definitely powerful right there. Definitely powerful. And a question that every guest gets to, well, not every guest, but just veterans like yourself. So, is there a question that you wish other folks would ask you that you haven't been asked yet when you're on these interviews?
Huh. Wow. That's a question that, no, because to be honest with you, no, because I really like the free flowing sometimes, and what the guest wants to, well, the host rather, want to hear, and so on. But I love to say that outside of everything else, the professionalism and all of that, I'm such a fun-loving person, crazy sometimes. Like, I love to walk. So just a little bit about me. I love to walk. In fact, I just sold my car and I walk as much as I can because I really, really enjoy walking, and I'm thinking about all the health benefits and all of that. So outside of the podcaster, the speaker, and the author, these are just something little about me that I love. I love nature a lot, and I just yeah, I love being in a very relaxed state, actually.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Loving that nature. Even
Hmm.
sold your car.
Yes, yes, I did. Sold my car recently, and I don't intend to get another one for maybe another year. So, making some very strategic moves this year.
Oh, there you go. Forcing yourself to keep that youth. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. That's what I'm talking about. Woohoo! That's right. Because you got to stay energized to do all that you're doing and more.
Absolutely. That's very, very important. Self-care is one of those things that we often don't give the value to that we should. Self-care, you just make sure that you're eating right, you're getting enough rest, and you're doing as much physical activity that you should, that to make sure that we keep that youth going as much as we can for as long as we can.
That's right. Keeping it longer than all the wiener dogs. That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed. Well, fabulous. Fabulous right there. She loves nature and she loves branding and she loves being super special awesome. So keeping the awesomeness going. If you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2020, what advice would you give to yourself?
It's okay. Everything is gonna be all right. You don't have to sweat the small stuff. As a matter of fact, don't sweat anything because at the end it all works out. Just keep going and enjoy the journey as you go along because it gets better and everything is gonna be working out for good for your own good.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Don't sweat the small stuff, indeed. That's right. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Absolutely not. Why should you? Life is a journey and in no place should you feel you know that urge to stay stuck, neither in your success nor in what you consider your failures. There are no failures, they're just life lessons that sometimes you pay very dear for. Some of those lessons are very expensive. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, those lessons can be expensive. But it's just an experience, even your wins, they're just experience. So don't get caught up by them and let your ego come into play. Be humble, maintain your humility, keep going, enjoy your journey, stay in your own lane, love yourself, love others, love God. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Gotta spread the love. That's right. Gotta spread the love like the butter on bread. That's what I'm talking about. The good love. God's love. That's right. So, for those who want to keep in magical contact with the Heavenly Heneka, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity. So I can be reached at henekawatkisporter.com. That's HENEKAWATKISPORTER.com. And I'm on all the major social media platforms: Heneka Watkis-Porter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Those are the four that I kind of stay on. I'm active on LinkedIn now, and I'm getting a little active on Twitter. Initially, it was Instagram and Facebook that were my two more active platforms, but now it's Twitter and LinkedIn. So I'm there a lot. And yeah, the podcast is The Entrepreneurial You, available on all major podcast playing apps. You can find me. Yeah, and if you want, when you go to my website, there is a WhatsApp link that comes straight to my phone. So you can send me a message and it won't be an assistant that responds to you. It would be me responding to you directly. So I look forward to really hearing from you and connecting with you. If you want to know how to get podcast power, it's on Amazon at bit.ly. So bit.ly/purchase podcast power. Thank you so much, Dom, for having me on as well.
Oh, my pleasure indeed. And big shout out to my man Paul Upwood for connecting us. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Got a connection in Jamaica now.
Absolutely.
That's right. The chocolate expands. The chocolate expands. So you heard it there, folks. Go on out there. Head over to Heneka's site. Pick up her wonderful book. Get some podcasting power in you, baby. Get some podcast power in you. You'll be talking like Macho Man Randy Savage after you read the book. Yes, you will. And you'll have a six pack in podcasting after you're done. And heck, if you really want to get a six pack in podcasting, be sure to contact Heneka for some podcast coaching after picking up the book. Or heck, even if you want to pick it up before the book, that works out too. And all of our wonderful goods. So, any parting words for the folks still listening, Heneka?
Yeah, just to say, keep being your best self every single day. Don't feel stuck. Don't get stuck in where you are. The world really is your oyster, and you need to just go out, live, love, laugh, enjoy it, and work on being your best self every day. Don't beat up on yourself if you make a mistake. If you think that you fail at something, assess, evaluate, wheel and come again, as we say in Jamaica. Get up, brush yourself off, and go again.
How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode.